46-year-old father, Abdul Faruqi, is dead. Why is he dead? Well, he's dead because he acted as a father, protecting his 4-year-old daughter from a home invader.
I'd rather be the dad in Vaughan than the parent in this situation, I think.
That's wild.
A 25-year-old man in Welland, Ontario has been charged with breaking into a family's home in Welland and sexually assaulting their toddler.
It's been a bloodbath out there in Ontario, hasn't it?
With the recent spike in home invasions and the constant viral scrutiny from social media bloggers like myself, Canadian politicians are being forced to speak out. There's no doubt that everyday Canadians are on edge and homeowners are probably contemplating life or death situations when they shouldn't be. With this recent home invasion leaving one man dead in front of his daughters, Doug Ford had to speak up. In this recent press conference, Doug Ford addresses his frustrations with the federal government and its self-defense laws in Canada. Now, the video we're going to react to is by Rebel News. It's called Not At It Again, Another Home Invasion Leaves a Father Dead. But as I go to this video, this goes to show that we have a real problem in Canada. I look to the side over here and I see this. Trans identifying man targets toddler in home invasion, bro. So we're gonna have to react to that next too. That sounds even crazier, but let's get straight into the story first.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Vaughan, Ontario. And you know, folks, if you had to put a slug on this story, it would be not again. That's because 46-year-old father Abdul Faruqi is dead. Why is he dead? Well, he's dead because he acted as a father, protecting his 4-year-old daughter from a home invader who was armed with lethal force. Here is the news release from the York Regional Police. Quote, on Sunday, August 31st, 2025, shortly before 1 a.m., officers attended a residence in the area of Andreda Drive and Barron Street for a report of a home invasion. On arrival, a male was located inside the house, suffering from trauma to his body. Despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced deceased at the scene. This is disturbing on so many levels. This neighborhood...
Look at the neighborhood, bro. More and more shootings are happening in these nice neighborhoods and not in the hoods anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys noticed that.
In Vaughan, it's a new build. It looks like what Pierre Poilievre calls a piece of the Canadian promise. You see nice houses with driveways, with cars in the driveway, a lawn out front and out back.
Absolute beautiful neighborhood.
And yet, in the wee hours of the morning, yet again, another home is invaded with tragic consequences. And the last few weeks, folks, it's been a bloodbath out there in Ontario, hasn't it? How about the elderly Jewish woman who was almost knifed to death at an Ottawa supermarket? How about a transgender, Danny Senecal, allegedly, who broke into a Welland home and sexually assaulted a toddler? By the way, why don't we stop sugarcoating? It was rape of a toddler. And by the way, the transgender part is no longer being reported in mainstream media. That's another story, and we'll have that story for you later this week when we go to Welland. How about 8-year-old Javai Roy? He was the Toronto boy, asleep in his bedroom when a stray bullet from a gangbanger hit him in the head and killed him. And then there, of course, there's Jeremy McDonald.
Fam, I told you in my last video, the people are purging out here. There's no opportunities out here. Kids are suffering from mental health. Canada's at an all-time low, bro.
He is the person who in Lindsay, in the wee hours of the morning, 3:20 a.m. to be precise, had a reprobate by the name of Mike Breen show up. Allegedly. Armed with a lethal force weapon, a crossbow, no less. And, Jeremy McDonald, for having the temerity to defend himself, he's now facing 2 charges, aggravated assault and assault with a weapon. And that speaks to the bigger problem that we have with these home invasions, doesn't it? The fact that under our so-called castle law, there are so many conditions and provisions that make the full use of defense, well, basically impossible. Remember how last week Pierre Poilievre weighed in with what I consider to be a bases-loaded home run in terms of public policy. Namely, someone breaks into your home, you have the right to lethal force if necessary. Here, check it out.
The use of force, including lethal force, is presumed reasonable against an individual who unlawfully enters a house and poses a threat to the safety of anyone inside. The proposed amendment is reasonable and prudent. It applies only to the unlawful entry of a home and preserves proportionality. Simply put, it means you have the right to use force to defend your home and your family against someone who threatens you and who has entered illegally.
And of course, Doug Ford, he weighed into this as well. Check it out.
These scumbags shot him right in front of his kids, shot him dead twice. Just imagine, what the trauma these kids are going to go through for the rest of their lives. And, I could tell you story after story about this, but we need to do something. I talked to the federal government over the weekend. Enough is enough. People are done with the crimes every single day. Innocent people are getting their doors kicked in by a bunch of thugs, a bunch of murderers, criminals, and you go to root cause. It's the weak criminal code that needs to be changed by the federal government.
Yeah, but you know what? I think really the tears Doug Ford is shedding are of the crocodilian variety, as my cameraman Maurizio and I showed you last week, folks, where Doug Ford lives in West End, Toronto. There are 2 Toronto police SUVs with armed police officers protecting him 24/7. So the Ford family, and I'm happy for this, they can go to bed without a care in the world. And Doug Ford never has to worry about him getting his hands dirty. But for the rest of us, we're on our own. And if you dare fight back with lethal force, you're in a heap of trouble. And let's not forget.
The man said Doug Ford's crying crocodile tears, bro. No cap, he is. All these politicians, I'm telling you, they're just being forced to prioritize the people now because these social media has been bashing them. News outlets like Rebel News, Toronto Unfiltered, you know what I mean? They're going viral with it, you know what I mean? My videos are going up with it, you know what I mean? I'm viral on TikTok with it, bro. Social media is strong. Your voice can be heard if you speak up for the right things.
This is the very same city that several months ago, a homeowner came out to defend his car, a Lamborghini, from being stolen by 4 thugs. He fired a warning shot, and you guessed it, he was charged. And the charges include, and it's a list, discharge of a firearm, possession of weapon for dangerous purpose, careless storage of a firearm, and unauthorized possession of a prohibited/restricted weapon. By the way, that careless storage of a firearm, that means he had the firearm nearby to defend him and his property, something that in so many American states is de rigueur. But here in Canada, no, they'd rather you lock up your firearms and your ammo in separate safes and have trigger.
Literally, careless storage of a firearm is literally having your firearm in reach for when they come to get you, you know what I mean? The Canadian law even if you own a gun, you have to have the ammo on like one side of the house and you have to have the gun on the other side of the house and they both have to be locked up. Realistically, bro, nobody's gonna be able to get that when you hear your door get kicked off. It makes no goddamn sense.
Locks on it. Basically, by the time you get the thing unlocked and loaded, you're probably dead. In any event, we desperately need the castle law reformed here. We desperately need a further crackdown on crime. But guess what? The Justice Minister, he is oblivious to these ideas. For example, here is what The tone-deaf Justice Minister Sean Fraser wrote on X after the Pierre Poilievre announcement. Quote, "This isn't the Wild West, it's Canada. Canadians deserve real solutions that make us safer, not slogans that inspire fear and chaos for Pierre's political survival."
Bro, it's people like this that make it feel like Toronto, or not Toronto, Canada in general would never be great, bro. You're talking about it's not the wild, wild west. You're acting like the man's saying you could have open carry and this, that. We're saying, the man's saying if someone comes into your crib, you're already threatened, so you could defend yourself, which makes sense. Anybody's gonna feel threatened when someone comes into your house. You shouldn't be double thinking whether you could defend yourself if a random stranger breaks into your house, especially in a climate like this. Right now, it's the Hunger Games.
End quote. You know, folks, doesn't that speak volumes about Sean Fraser? He destroyed the immigration system in Canada. He was perhaps Canada's worst housing minister, but in the Liberal government, you fail upwards. Now he is the Justice Minister. I have news for Minister Fraser. It's already the Wild West. If you'd get out of your ivory tower and venture into some of the big cities and even small towns in our great Dominion, you would discover that safety is going by the wayside.
A lot of these politicians
I should correct myself when I say it's the Wild West. It's partly Wild West, and by that, folks, I mean it is the guys with the black hats, aka the villains. They're the ones armed to the teeth. They're the ones shooting up streets. They're the ones getting out on bail and probation. And meanwhile, the rest of us, well, we're supposed to cross our fingers and hope the police will come to the scene in the nick of time. This is an absolute disgrace. And look, here is the latest consequence. Mr. Faruqi, he will never see his young daughter grow up. He will never become a grandfather. And meanwhile, the hunt goes on for the villain, the evil person that did this. And you know, I'm looking around this neighborhood.
I don't like how you keep saying villain, bro.
Very simple.
Because listen, you see what I'm saying? I'm the villain. I didn't do that, bro. Don't put that on me, brother. You know what I mean?
It could have been anyone. This was a crime of opportunity, clearly. And these thieves could have gone into any house. And I mean, imagine that. If the story is true, they were pointing a loaded gun at the head of a 4-year-old girl. And Sean Fraser is worried about the Wild West.
Bro, and that's not the first time a crime like this happened, bro. I literally have like 2 videos back. I literally have a whole video of a man. Let me show you a clip. Because
my 5-year-old daughter opens her door and she comes out of her room in her nightgown, just like rubbing her eyes. And this guy takes the gun off of me and puts the gun right up to her head. It was kind of the most desperate, helpless feeling I've ever had. And the guy was...
Imagine how this guy feels hearing this video, hearing what just happened to the guy in Vaughan. Imagine how this guy feels. Canadians are, I'm telling you, Canadians are on edge.
My 5-year-old daughter opens her door and she comes out of her room in her nightgown, just like rubbing her eyes. And this guy takes the gun off of me and puts the gun right up to her head. It was kind of the most desperate, helpless feeling I've ever had.
Like I said, it's already here. We need to toughen the laws. We need to be able to defend ourselves legally, even if it means lethal force. We have to crack down on crime. We have to stop this revolving door. Canada is becoming a joke, but a joke without a punchline, because this is a tragedy. We'll keep on this file. We'll keep exposing these atrocities, folks. Signing off.
Now, hold up. Let's check out this transgender that home invaded and diddled with the little kid, bro. Because this is just outrageous.
Let's keep going on the awfulness of
trans-identifying
Ontario.
male targets toddler in heinous home invasion.
I don't want to be attached to that horrible place, and this is one of those things. This is from Redux. A male who uses she/her pronouns arrested after violent sexual assault on a toddler in Ontario. This is in Welland. This is a horror show. A 25-year-old man in Ontario, Canada, has been charged with this is just a horror, this is a parent's worst nightmare. I'd rather be the dad in Vaughan than the parent in this situation, I think.
That's wild. That's actually wild. That's wild. To say that is wild. She said she'd rather be the dad in Vaughan. She'd rather be deleted than but bro, I can't say she's wrong, bro, because bro, to have your kid go through that,
then the parent.
Trauma is a real thing. People think because you have your life is not ruined for the rest of your life. You're not gonna have nightmares, and your kids are not gonna have nightmares. This is a life-changing thing.
In this situation, I think.
Isn't that saying something?
I think it is.
Something?
I think it is, because in the other situation, my child would be safe. You know. Yep. A 25-year-old man in Welland, Ontario, has been charged with breaking into a family's home in Welland and sexually assaulting their toddler. Danny Senecal identified himself using she/her on Facebook profile and displayed the trans pride flag in his biography. On Sunday, August 31st, police and paramedics were called to a home near Crowland Avenue and York Street in Welland for a...
Listen, people need to start holding their own people accountable too. The LGBTQ people need to come out and crucify this guy, bro.
Medical assistance call involving a young child. Emergency first responders arrived. They discovered the front door of the home showed signs of being forced open. This is just an absolute nightmare. And the child was suffering from serious injuries. Investigators say a witness came forward with surveillance video, and the suspect was quickly identified as Daniel Senecal. He was taken into custody, charged with aggravated sexual assault on a child, assault by choking, breaking and entering a home, and sexual interference with a child. His young female victim has been transported out of region for advanced medical care, but she has been declared stable. He's a stranger. He broke into the family's home sometime between 10 p.m. and 8:59 a.m. and sexually assaulted their sleeping toddler. Several friends of the victim's mother say the man arrested was known to the victim's family and had previous contact with the toddler he assaulted. He targeted them specifically. This guy is the boogeyman. He's the boogeyman. Locals had expressed confusion as to why police described it as a stranger attack when that was not the case. Another mother in the area told the National Post that Senecal had sexually assaulted her young son in 2021. She said he was arrested, charged, and after 2 years of court hearings was sentenced to 18 months in jail, but was released 6 months in early March. So what did he make it? 6 months? Not even before he got caught reoffending. I'm sure he reoffended immediately after. Little is known about Senecal's past. A Facebook page has uncovered showing he appears to have recently adopted a transgender identity. Look at this. Sorry, kid, I'm the ether bunny. Drugging and abducting a child. Okay. The worst part is if this monster...
Wait, what am I watching right now, bro? This guy was on the internet. What am I watching right now, bro? How is this possible? This man was on the internet, on Facebook, posting shit like this, getting... Let me see.
Okay.
That's crazy, bro. Repeat offender, bro. Repeat offender. You know what I mean? Catch a man with some dope there, throw him in jail for 5 years. Catch a man diddling the kids, ruining people's lives, potentially making criminals. You're making, like, people, like, how do you want to, oh my God, bro.
Convicted, so I can call him a confirmed monster, is convicted, he will go to a women's prison.
Yo!
This is nightmare fuel, Canada. Okay.
Bro, the man's gonna go to a women's prison? That's what's going on in Canada? That's what's going on in Canada, because he identifies as he that identifies as a she, and he's gonna go to oh my gosh, I can't make this up, bro. I can't make this up.
Okay, if you were under any illusions that we were doing okay or that everything is fine, let this story just bring you back to earth, and that everything is on fire and is awful. So what happened here is a person that is represented by a group that is disproportionately more likely to be convicted and to be convicted of sex crimes against children and women, did the thing that we're all warning
Twice now
is happening in these groups. And the craziest thing, the absolute craziest thing, is that the police service, okay, the ones that are shown in that arrest video, are ideologically captured and committed to representing the community in which this guy comes from.
You know what I think is funny is that they played the old switcheroo, and we saw this with the church shooting last week. These people identify as trans, and we're all supposed to accept them as trans. But then when they do something terrible, particularly against children, the trans identity vaporizes. And we use the biological pronouns. And this person, instead of being a privileged transgender offender, suddenly becomes just your typical white male offender that you need to be on the lookout for.
Right. And
they said it themselves. Your typical white male offender. That's what they're gonna look at it as. You know what I mean? They're not gonna look at it as a trans person on the loose. They're gonna try and cover it up. Bro, the trans community and the LGBT community, you need to hold people like this accountable. You know what I mean? Because if you feel like you're good people, you need to hold the bad people in your community accountable.
And just going backwards, this is a protected caste of people. Okay, this is the enlightened caste of people who you may not scrutinize, you may not criticize, and you may not point out the obvious. That there are things happening in this group of people that should make all of us very, very, very uncomfortable, because there is no difference between childhood sexual exploitation and childhood sexual exploration. So this group of people is saying, all of the children should be educated in the ways of gender and sexual diversity. Well, here's your poster child getting arrested for essaying a baby
in her bed.
The only way
in her bed
with her parents in the house. Okay, and
that's
there is nothing
crazy.
more disgusting or egregious in the entire world than harming a child. And here.
And fam, I can't make this up. This is how you know Canada really has a problem with home invasions. As I'm making this video reacting to yesterday's home invasions, 3 men break into another home in Vaughan same night after father was killed in front of his family. Look at this. As I'm making this video, the same area where the man got shot yesterday, people broke into. Oh my god, I can't make this shit up, bro.
Here's the guy that did it, and P.S. his friends are disproportionately more likely to do the same. So until we can start breaking all of this down, okay, and just acknowledging in force that we're not accepting this anymore as normal, that we're not going to tolerate our public institutions upholding these guys, or our police services developing partnerships with this community, this protected community, nothing is going to change. And that he can identify straight into a women's prison where they have mother-baby programs.
Exactly my point.
In every women's prison in Canada, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
This is absolutely egregious. It must stop, and it must stop right now. And what's crazy is the amount of these guys that are flying under the radar.
Yeah.
Because they have such close relationships with our public institutions and our law enforcement. Any good cop worth his salt, okay, knows that there are risk factors to these guys' behavior, right? Like there's a what do you call it, Sheila Gunn Reid? It's like a risk analysis.
As a cop, how could you even sleep knowing people like this are on the road? Like, this is why you see those movies of those cops that have like a whole game plan of what they're gonna do to people, and bro, it's crazy. They have whole vendettas against people. You know what I mean? There's this one guy, he's just chasing the whole movie because people like this, they do some crazy shit like this, and you see that with your own 2 eyes, brother. I don't even know what to say, bro. We know that deviant sexual behaviors make you more risky.
And look
Right.
what we have here. Look
And-
what we have.
and
Look what
it's-
it results in, the acceptance of this. The destruction of a child.
And those things are objective. Like the risk factors are objective. It's, for example, if your parents aren't married and then your mother gets a new boyfriend and you live with the mother and the boyfriend, you are statistically more likely to be abused. Like there are statistical objective risk factors at play that people need to consider here. I see that Elon Musk has weighed in on this.
Oh.
He said extreme levels of trans violence. This is a severe problem.
So true.
Libs of TikTok says it's an epidemic. Yeah,
It's true. And the crazy thing is, the reporting of these types of crimes are getting attributed to women, falsely attributed to women. Because if this guy, if this sexual deviant,
I don't even want them, but they shouldn't be attributed to. And you and I looked at this on another research project. They they should not be attributed to just regular men either, because when you look at men and women and then trans-identified, it's here, and then it's here when it comes to risk factors.
Trans-identified men are disproportionately more likely to commit sex crimes against women and children, the end. Disproportionately more likely than just regular heterosexual dudes. Okay, I think it's 5 times more likely than regular heterosexual dudes, and many hundreds of times more likely than women. Like, this is not an anomaly. This is documented in place.
That's just crazy, bro. You know what I mean? And this is what Mark Carney's out here marching for. Pride Month. He's out there. You know what I mean? Hands, bro. I'm not saying, bro. I'm not even trying to know, bro. Touchy topics, right? Touchy topics. But yo, I think I'm gonna wrap this one up right here, bro. But what do you think about Doug Ford's rant? Do you think it's a genuine rant, or do you think he's being pressed because outlets like this, outlets like me reacting to this? You know what I mean? But regardless, we're pushing in the right direction at the end of the day, right? So you guys like, comment, subscribe. You know what I mean? You watch the video till here. I'm off of this. You guys done know.